Hello, Prescott Valley. Bob Ticer here, Chief of Police, your Chief of Police. Welcome to the next edition of Chiefs Chat. Before we get going, I'd like to wish everybody out in our community happy holidays. We're around the end of November, 1st of December now, so we're really from our police department to you and each one of you wishing you Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and today is going to be a great edition. It's talking about traffic safety, and that's something that affects every one of us in our community. You either drive a car or ride in a car just about every day. You're involved in the roadway usages in our community, and so today we're going to spend a little time with you introducing our traffic unit, our great traffic unit, to each of you and talking a little bit about traffic safety. Why? So that we can keep each of you safe and keep our community safe. So today we have three of our members of our traffic unit right here. Sergeant Shawn Caswell is the supervisor here. We'll hear from him in just a minute, and Officer Matt Klein, or Corporal Matt Klein. Sorry about that. One of our fine traffic officers, and our newest addition to the traffic unit, Officer Michelle Woods. So, Shawn, why don't you introduce yourself to the community a little bit? In this way, because usually you're introducing yourself to the community in a way that maybe they're not all that happy about.
Right. Yeah. Usually it's good morning. Do you have your driver's license, your registration?
Yeah, exactly.
But even though that is the introduction on the roadway, we still try to be, educational and as far as possible. My name is Shawn Caswell. The Traffic Sergeant Supervisor for the Traffic Division. I've been with the Prescott Valley Police Department for 22 years. And being in the Traffic Division is one of my favorite jobs that I've been able to do with the police department.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. Corporal Klein.
Yeah, so I'm Matt Klein. I'm a motor officer. I help Shawn with a lot of our projects and community events. Right now I'm new to the motor program we just started back in May. We went to motor school, so you'll see our bikes out quite a bit. But it's been great. We have been doing it for a little bit, but I've been doing this job for 8 years now. So this is a fun opportunity for me, and I'm really liking it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we pay you to ride a motorcycle at work.
Yeah, it's the best thing.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's a good deal. All right. Michelle.
Hey, I'm Officer Michelle Woods. I'm the newest to the traffic unit here. I came off of patrol. I was a swing shift patrol officer before then. I'm an aspiring motor, so I'm not there yet, but fingers crossed. And working with these guys, that I'm sure I'll get to learn everything I need to about it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you here, and I know we're missing two of our other traffic officers, so we have a contingency of 5 folks assigned to traffic in our community of nearly 50,000 people, and a lot of people coming in and out of the community, so y'all have a lot of work to do out in the community. Perhaps you could talk a little bit about what your mission is. What is the mission of the traffic division of the police department?
Well, the mission of the traffic department, we actually wear many different hats. We're responsible for, obviously, traffic enforcement, crash investigation, criminal traffic investigation. We're also responsible for the DUI, the driving impaired program. We're also responsible for events. So any large events that occur within the Prescott Valley jurisdiction, we manage and plan those events. We also sister with other departments, Prescott, Chino Valley, YCSO, and DPS, to work and coordinate with multi-agency events such as speeding task force, DUI events, large political campaign events where we provide security. We're a team that wears many hats.
That's awesome. So what you just said there, I think, is important for our community to know, is we have all these law enforcement agencies in the Quad City area, as well as the state troopers out there, and it's my understanding from what you just said for our community is we all work together. So you may see all those agencies you described working in Prescott one day, and you may see all those agencies working right here in Prescott Valley one day, joint operations. So for the community out there, don't be surprised if you see a Chino officer working here in town, or one of us working up near the airport. Does that suffice to say?
Yes, it's always a treat, and it's always to, when you stop people, like when we work in other jurisdictions and you pull them over and they're like, Prescott Valley, I thought I was in Mayor.
Yeah.
So and then of course we explain what we're doing and why we're doing it, and then they
Exactly.
understand, they think that's a pretty neat deal. So.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much for that. So Matt, you mentioned motorcycles. Let's talk a little bit about the motorcycle program. Why do we have police motorcycles?
The police motorcycles are just another tool in our toolbox. They're something that provides a lot of mobility. Prescott Valley is growing pretty fast. We got a lot of roads that are really congested. Responding to crashes is a great use for them. We can get in between vehicles. I just did it the other day, we had a bunch of backed up cars and none of the actual patrol vehicles could fit between the lanes of traffic because traffic is stacked up on Glassford Hill Road. The motorcycle just fits right in between the lanes and it's easy to get to your calls. That provides a lot of enforcement action for the roads. It's hard to catch up to violators in a car sometimes on these busy streets. So we can actually enforce things and catch people doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing, I suppose. A lot of the stuff I look for, in particular, DUIs. I'm a DRE, or a drug recognition expert.
Right.
So I like to use the bike to look for drunk drivers or impaired drivers on drugs.
Very good. So what I'm hearing you say is you can get to crash scenes quicker, therefore you can start life-saving measures earlier because typically a police officer will be one of the first responders at a scene, right? So you can get there faster.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. And you forgot to mention it's fun and cool to
Oh,
ride
it's
a
very
motorcycle
fun.
too, right?
Yeah. It's the best job in the department.
It's awesome. What bikes are we using out there right now?
So right now we've got the 2021 BMWs. They're the, I think it's the R1250s.
Good.
They're a very nice motorcycle. They're from what I understand, the only motorcycle that starts out as an actual police motorcycle. So it starts out in the factory being built for the police. So they're great bikes and they've treated us very well. We're lucky to have them. We got them for free on a grant from GOHS, or the Governor's Office of Highway Safety.
It's great.
So we got those, was it 2021, Sean?
Yes.
Yeah. So we got those for free, and that's the best part is that this community didn't have to pay anything for these bikes to get used here.
That's great. Well, I appreciate that. And I think you guys look great out there on the bikes too. So,
Thanks.
Officer Woods, we know that you said you're aspiring motor, but I know you ride motorcycles off duty, so you've got that box checked. You're ready to go. But right now, you're driving an unmarked car. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you maybe tell the community a little bit about why we use unmarked cars, or I think the word we use is aggressive driving car. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that if you wouldn't mind.
Well, they come in a lot of handy because when people see marked patrol cars, they tend to behave themselves more.
Yeah.
And only while that marked patrol car is there, and then they go back to doing whatever they were doing, driving aggressively, texting while driving, being reckless in general. But if you're unmarked, it doesn't necessarily catch their eye, and so they're more willing to act how they would normally act without being watched. So you get to see people. I've had people tell me that they saw me. They liked the car. They were looking at the car.
Yeah.
They didn't register that I was an officer. So then they ran the red light. So then they did whatever they were going to do, and so it helps because then you're right there and you can correct their poor driving habits or.
Right. So it's. I like to put it like this. Oftentimes, people will say, "Where's a cop when you need one?" Right. So. In the aggressive driving cars, you're out there blending with traffic, and there's that aggressive driver out there where that citizen's saying, where is a police officer when you need one? Well, there you are. Their driving behavior is aggressive. They go past you. You can take that enforcement action, and those people driving by, I imagine every now and then honk and wave and say, thank you for getting that aggressive driver, right?
They do. They do.
All the time.
That's a great service that you provide to the community. So what car are you driving right now?
I have a silver Challenger.
Silver Challenger, awesome. So, yes, so our community, as you see some of the unmarked cars out there, that's typically what we're using them for, and those are on the grant funding from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety as well. So there's three things that we focus on in traffic safety, three primary things, right? Speeding, seatbelts, and DUI enforcement. So Matt, you want to talk a little bit about DUI enforcement, what we do as a department, and what the community can do to keep our roads more safe as it relates to DUI drivers?
Yeah, so we're doing a lot. It's a huge problem. It's across the country, I think, but it's here as well. People, drink and drive. They've done so for decades. It's been a problem for a long time. But now we have the outbreak of more drugs in different communities, and including ours. It's sad, but there's drugs out there. One of the big ones is marijuana and fentanyl right now, as far as what I've come across here in our community. And so a lot of what we're trying to tackle is to combat the more invisible drugs to cue in on. Like alcohol you can smell, marijuana you can smell sometimes. But the problem is that once you start doing like the harder drugs like fentanyl or meth, like we're trying to get those guys off the street too. Those are just as dangerous as the alcohol impaired driver.
Right.
They cause different effects to the human body and the brain, but they're still impaired. So any drug that would impair the human body and brain is what we're looking for. and trying to get those drivers that are endangering everybody else on the road off the road. Our officers go through a lot of training, so they're going through the academy. The academy in Prescott has the HGN program, which I believe is still one of the, I could be wrong, they were at one point the only academy that was offering that. So HGN is testing for eyes. So it's the eye test to see for nystagmus. So looking for nystagmus in the eyes, and it gives the officers right off the bat some training in it. They go back to the academy, they recertify and test, and by 6 months to a year, they've got advanced training versus waiting for a long time in bigger areas to go back to that school. So it's great because our officers start off right off the bat having an advanced DUI tool almost immediately, really. From there, we've got the A-Ride program. A-Ride is like the next level. So the officers get training in drug enforcement. So we've got actually quite a few officers, I think 20 to 30 officers have actually done A-Ride. And that's even at command staff level. Our lieutenants and stuff have done that training as well. I've got a list, but it's a couple dozen officers that have the advanced drug enforcement training, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, that is awesome that we have not only you, but other officers in the department, not just traffic officers that are have the background experience and training in DUI enforcement.
Yeah.
So Corporal Klein, what message would you tell the community as they're going about their daily business? If they see somebody driving erratic or they suspect they're impaired, what should they do?
Just call 911 immediately. So those drivers are super important to get off the road. If you don't call, we can't do anything about them, and they're extremely dangerous for everybody. And it may be you, it may be somebody you know. We never know what damage we can stop by just being active and helping by stopping that driver. DUIs hurt and kill so many thousands of people every year. I mean, they're very dangerous.
They are, and I appreciate what you said about 911. I hear that from the community occasionally. I've heard we didn't want to dial 911 because we didn't think it was an emergency. It is an emergency. Please dial that number. You're not bothering our dispatchers. That's what we're there for. So if you see that dangerous driver, give us a call. Absolutely. And stay on the phone as long as you can, and we'll get there and keep our community even safer. So thank you for that on the DUI enforcement.
Yeah, of course.
Corporal Klein. Officer Woods, talk a little bit about seat belts. What can we do in our community related to seat belts and child passenger safety? How important is that?
Oh, it's very important, and it's surprising the number of people that you see without seatbelts on. Or what I've come to learn is how many people put children that aren't the proper weight, the proper height in the front seat. And airbags are violent. They're they're designed for adults, but they can really injure animals. If you have a dog up front, your children, a lot of things like that. And not wearing your seatbelt, airbags sometimes don't go off. So then you're just, if you don't wear your seatbelt, you're going face first into that dashboard, which can cause just as much damage.
Right.
So, and with car seats as well. If your child isn't properly in a car seat, that can do a lot of damage.
And it's the law, right?
Yes.
In Arizona, you're required to wear your seatbelt, and you all enforce that, I'm sure, when you see those violations out there. So
Yep.
it just takes less than a second to buckle up. So buckle up. Sergeant Caswell, let's finish with the last one, something we're all familiar with. Probably every driver out there has sped once or twice in their lifetime, I'm suspecting. Tell me how important it is to keep those speeds down there, and what do you do as a traffic unit to keep those speeds down in our community?
One of the things we do is we do directed enforcement. You see us sitting on the side of the roadway in unmarked cars, in marked cars, on motorcycles. And there's several different strategies we do to reduce the speed, but the most productive strategy is just having visibility of people driving through the community, seeing cars being pulled over, seeing marked police cars, seeing our speed trailers we put out on Glassbury Hill, showing, hey, this is the speed limit, this is how fast you're going right now. And they're set to flash at specific speeds. Visibility is the most successful way to slow traffic down. And the way we kind of figure out what areas we're going to target, there are several reasons. One is the community. The community tells us where we need to be. Whether they're calling our traffic hotline, whether they're calling our dispatch, whether they're sending us emails, we find out about all these places we need to work and do extra traffic on. Another way is we follow data. We follow traffic data, vehicle counts, crash counts. There's a lot to that. And one, for example, is we found crash data on Glassford was becoming a huge problem. Our crash rates are up. The population was up, which also pushes that crash rate up as well, but the overall amount of traffic on Glassford Hill it's up, and there's a lot of cars, and there's a lot of speeding on Glassford. So we find those areas, whether if we're using covert boxes or traffic trailers, crash data, citizens' complaints, and we go in there and we work them. There's many different ways we work them, whether if it's we're using LiDAR and one officer's down the road and flagging cars, or we just use UC cars mixed in with traffic and we stop speeders. And again, even though we're stopping speeders and we're working on this project and getting everybody to slow down, it's not just getting a speeding ticket. It's also spending some time with the driver, because you just said before, this could be the first time this driver's ever had contact with an officer. We don't want to leave it, oh, the one time I was stopped, I got a ticket. So especially officers on our team are really good about educating people, working with people with the objective of getting people to slow down and get off their phones. Those are our biggest two issues in our highly congested area right now, is either drivers are getting in crashes because they're going too fast, or they're distracted by their cell phones. Those are the two leading causes for crashes on Glassford right now.
Right, well, I appreciate that, and we're nearly out of time here. We could talk about traffic safety all day long, for sure. I know our community is really interested in it, so just as a reminder, as this fine team talked about today, speed, distracted driving, DUI enforcement, seat belts, and keeping our kids safe and pets safe too. Michelle, thank you for bringing up the pets in the front seat. That's really important. But there's a theme there. There's a theme there. This is all preventable. It's all preventable. If we just do all that, we keep our neighbors safe, we keep our community safe, it's really a social contract. That means I'm going to drive the speed limit, I expect you to drive the speed limit. I stay on the right side of the road, you stay on the right side of the road. It's that social contract. If we could all do that, we could all focus on this, we keep our community safer. So I want to say thank you for joining us, and thank you for this fine team here that's today present in the studio here in Prescott Valley, and would really like to say just have a safe holiday, and we'll see you out there on the road. Hopefully it's at the restaurant instead of the red and blues in the back window there. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.